Hey everybody, I'm going to introduce our bus lines project, and I've got some information coming from our poet laureate quite soon, so you'll have everything you need to get started. So first of all, what is this project? Bus Lines is a project run by the Madison Poet Laureate. This poet is chosen by the Madison Art Council, and they work with Metro. The poetry competition is run early every year and gets tons of submissions from the community of all ages. Once the Poet Laureate whittles down the best of the submissions, we organize them so I can assign them to you to design. We've been doing this project for several years, and it's a lot of fun. So where's your work going to go? This is a super exciting part. 10 poems are going to be seen on the fronts or sides of buses. In the printed ride guide publication, there will be 5 more. On the little transfer swipe cards, I'll have 2 of our designs, and we're also going to make an online gallery for another 10. While it may not happen this year, each late spring they've held a public gathering to honor the poets chosen for these top submissions, and I made 12 by 18 prints for the Poet Laureate to hand out and display at that event. We're always welcome to attend it, and it's really cool. So while that may not happen this year, that would be another situation where this work would be displayed. So how do you design stuff to be on a bus or a tiny transfer card? Clearly, that's how. Easy to read fonts, ample white space, nothing close in value next to or on top of each other. This is a great time to work with type and image in an elegant, simple way. In InDesign, press W and go into preview mode and just literally move your window across the screen. Can you still read it? It's honestly a good test. So what about the ride guide? If you don't know what it is, the ride guide is a printed booklet, and it's printed on newsprint, and it's only black and white on the inside. So this means you may only use the black swatch and tints of it, not the registration swatch, just the black swatch. And of course the paper white in InDesign. If you build a graphic in Illustrator, it must only use colors that have black ink. Design those graphics in CMYK mode too. If you use a photograph, it must be in grayscale. I have demos on these things coming up pretty soon. And how do you set up your files? No fear. I also have videos coming on proper file setup. The only one that's variable is the online graphics, and I'll discuss that. The others must be absolutely exact in size, bleed settings, and margins. This stuff is going to be commercially produced. Your file setup is important. So looking at a few examples, these are from, I think, 2016. So we've got simple, easy to read font. And this indentation was put there by the poet. So some of yours, there's a couple that looks like they put like 5 or 6 spaces in the middle of a line somewhere. You need to keep that. You need to honor what the poet's chosen. For the most part, we can't change like the content on a line. We do have some for the transfer cards that have kind of long lines, and I checked with the poet, and she said, let's just wrap the lines, which means, putting in our own line breaks. Just make sure they're in a good spot. They're not in the middle of a clause or a phrase that makes it awkward. So here's a tail one. You can see these are very long, skinny formats, and they're actually kind of tough to work with, so this is a pretty good challenge. So another view of that one. This one has nice, simple vector artwork. And you can see we've got these logos. There's also a line of small print, so I'll be providing these things, and they need to be in all of your poems. And there's another side. So this one's interesting because the designer went with just type. So there doesn't necessarily have to be image. So if the type can really express the voice of the poem, you wouldn't necessarily need to be forcing imagery in there. So remember, I keep saying the last thing we want to do is just fill a page. We use page space, not fill it. So some of these are from kids, and we've decided to stop putting the school name on there just because it was getting to be a little bit like, oh, here's my child and here's where to find them. So if you have one that's by a kid, in the document at the bottom, I'll have their name and it'll say like first name, last name, comma, second grade. And that's how we should cite them as an author. Otherwise, the author's name is in the title of the Word document, and you'll see those when you get to OneDrive. So this one, while it's a cool design, there's a big legibility problem here. Because this font is kind of thin and is supposed to be legible over all these buildings, it just didn't work out. And I expressed concern about this repeatedly, and it just kind of went through, and we had to finish it up. So this is how it ended up. If it was in bright light and maybe not ever moving, it might be fine. But ideally, these orange shades would have been lighter so that the black text could be read. This one was a clever use of a building shape so we could still make it out. But the whole poem is on the dark part in a lighter color type in a very legible font, so we're able to read it. This one's a clever combination of sort of exaggeration of the lake atmosphere along with the capital. So a lot of these intricate vectors people will have found on the internet from legal sources like VectEasy. I'm okay with that, but anything you download, you have to edit. Do not just take something and slap it on there. So that's our bus lines assignment. I will post information about deadlines, and I'll be posting the demo videos as well. And any other information or introduction I get from the poet, I'll also have that up. And make sure to write an announcement so that you know where to look and what to watch and read. And you will take it from there. Have fun.